Hello and welcome to my channel. Thank you for joining me here today. So I'd like to talk about some acupressure points for sleep apnea. It's really no fun when you can't sleep and your body is deprived of oxygen at night, leaving you feeling tired, depressed, and just not able to function properly the next day. And those CPAP machines, those are awkward and not exactly comfortable. But there is good news. My name is Cynthia and I'm a licensed acupuncturist in Ontario, Canada. And what I'd like to show you here today is how acupressure and acupuncture can help you resolve this condition. Acupressure and acupuncture help sleep apnea by improving oxygen supply in the blood in general and by improving blood flow to where it has been blocked, such as the throat. It can also help to clear the excess phlegm in the throat that may be part of the obstruction in some cases. These treatments can also reduce the risk factors that lead to sleep apnea, such as stress, smoking, hypertension, and being overweight. For best results, it's important to see a qualified acupuncturist who can diagnose your condition according to Oriental medicine and provide a treatment that is specific to your set of symptoms and the underlying root cause, which will not be the same in everyone that has sleep apnea, even though it may be labeled the same by a Western doctor. Sleep apnea is a disorder where breathing stops for a period of time during sleep. The airway becomes constricted either because of an anatomical blockage in the upper airway or because the throat muscles relax and narrow the airway, which interferes with the flow of air. And since air is more essential than anything, this lack of air will cause a person to wake up as soon as oxygen levels in the body become too low. The person with sleep apnea will have short periods throughout the night where breathing stops and oxygen supply to the body is reduced. Symptoms of sleep apnea include insomnia, poor memory, weak concentration, depression, irritability, cardiac issues including risk for cardiac arrest, metabolic dysfunction, as well as sexual dysfunctions. Sleep apnea is also often associated with snoring. Now let's talk about acupressure points you can use to correct this situation. So the first point we're going to look at is a point on the front of the neck called conception vessel 23. This point is found on the anterior midline of the neck, right above the throat prominence, which is another way of saying the Adam's apple. And it's just in a depression above the upper border of the hyoid bone. So let's look at this. This hyoid bone is fairly high up on the neck, so it's above the Adam's apple. The Adam's apple is where the thyroid cartilage is down here. And then we're going above that to the hyoid bone. And just running your finger along, you're going to reach a depression after you hit that bone. Okay, so this point is used for mouth and throat disorders. It also treats swelling of the throat. The point also treats swelling and pain of the subglossal region, meaning the area under the tongue. It treats salivation, flaccid tongue, aphasia, which is the inability to speak, with stiffness of the tongue, sudden hoarseness of the voice, and difficulty swallowing. The functions of this point are to subdue rebellious chi. So this is when there is a flow of energy moving upwards, when it needs to be moving downwards. It's going in the wrong direction. That's why we call it rebellious. This point benefits, like I said, the tongue and the throat, as well as the speech. It resolves phlegm. Now, phlegm has to do with poor functioning of the spleen, and this point is also a meeting point of the spleen channel. So the spleen also gets a benefit through activating this point. And it also stops cough. The way you can access this point, just with your thumb, just pressing in. It may be a little bit tender, so just do as much as is comfortable for you. Maybe just give it 1 or 2 minutes of gentle pressure. And then next we're going to look at a point on the interior of the wrist. This point is called Heart 7. So just from the diagram here, we're on the wrist. We're on the ulnar side of the wrist, which is the side that is in line with the pinky finger. And it's just at the transverse crease of the wrist, just below that. And within the tendon flexor carpi ulnaris, just on the radial side of that tendon, there's a little depression. So if you just move in from where you feel that tendon, which sort of feels like a spongy wire, and in that depression, that is heart 7. This point will help with sleep apnea, especially where there are heart issues that are part of the picture. It helps to reduce high blood pressure. It will also help prevent heart issues from developing as a result of sleep apnea, because it will also increase oxygen supply to the heart. The functions of heart 7 include calming the mind and strengthening and regulating the heart blood and chi, so the energy and the blood flow to the heart. This point is used for insomnia and also emotional issues that are related to sleep. And we know insomnia is often a part of sleep apnea. This point is also used for cardiac pain, heart palpitations due to fright, chest pain, among other things. So just giving this point a couple of minutes of pressure. You can do one side, and then after a couple of minutes, you can switch to the other side. And then the next point we're going to look at is a set of 4 points on the top of the head. This set of 4 are called Shishin Kong. Now, Shishin Kong, they all run about 1 thumb width apart from this point here called governing vessel 20. So that's right on the crown of the head, and it's directly above the tip of the ear, right on the midline. So just using that as your landmark, and then 4 points on either side. Now, if I were you, I would just keep things simple. I would just tap on the top of your head. It will activate all these points in this area. These 4 points are good for calming the mind, and that's important when our sleep is being deprived. Now, this next set of points, kidney 6 and lung 7, are points that work to open this channel that runs along the front of the body. It's called the yin chao vessel. It runs right through the throat. And so when we work on this channel, this helps to open up the throat area, which is often blocked due to obstruction. And it's also indicated for insomnia, which is another common problem with sleep apnea. So for both these reasons, this point combination works quite well. So let's look at the first point here. This is called kidney 6. We're going to find this point on the medial aspect of the foot. So we're looking for the medial malleolus. This is the large bone on the inner ankle. And so just finding the tip, the highest point on the medial malleolus, and then just sliding your thumb just under that bone. And this point here, it's about 1 thumb width below the tip of the medial malleolus, is called kidney 6. This point strengthens the yin energy of the body, which is the energy that's required at night to have a deep and restful sleep. It helps shift the body out of the daytime rhythm, which is yang. Yang energy means warm, active, energizing, like the sun. And the sun is something that we see during the day. So moving from this yang energy to yin energy, which means cool, restful, calming, like the moon, which is seen at night. Many people with insomnia have an abundance of yang and require more yin. Others have an issue with their biorhythm being out of sync with the rhythm of the atmosphere. And this can be caused by things like jet lag, shift lag, working night shifts, and other such unnatural rhythms that put the body out of the healthy rhythm. So this point is a yin point. It treats dryness of the body, any type of yin deficiency. We're going to see things like dryness. Among many other things, it also treats issues involving sleep, like insomnia and sleep apnea. It's a very relaxing point. Then we're going to look at lung 7. So we're going to find this point on the wrist. It's on the radial margin of the forearm, just superior to the styloid process of the radius. So to find this point, we're going to find our thumb, and then we're just going to trace down from our thumb. We're going to find the wrist crease, and then we're going to go 1.5 cun below this wrist crease at the level of our thumb, and we're going to find just a little bone here called the styloid process. It's just a little bit beyond that point. It's basically 1.5 fingers is how you would measure that. This point often gets paired in acupuncture. We pair this point with kidney 6. Lung 7 is the command point for the head and the neck. So any issue involving the head and neck, it's very helpful for these conditions. So, for example, with sleep apnea, we have issues with the throat, we have issues with the breathing. So this is a great point. It's very important to disperse stagnant energy in the lung system in order to create easy, natural breathing while we're asleep. It's important also because the immune system needs support to avoid potential medical complications that may result from sleep apnea, such as fatigue, heart problems, high blood pressure, and abnormal liver functions. Lung 7 also helps the lungs to disperse and descend the qi. When the lungs are not performing this function well, the symptoms that arise are often coughing, snoring, and shortness of breath. So treating this point can also relieve a stuffy sensation in the chest. So there are many other points that could be used along with these main points for sleep apnea. It's best to see an acupuncturist to get to the root of your particular case. Okay, so I hope this is helpful for you today. Thank you for joining me here, and I look forward to joining you in the next video.